Well, hello there. My name is Jen Barkan with Do You Convert? And I am super, super excited because today I have two very special guests from our industry, Tanner Brewster and Lacy Warburton. Say hi, guys. I'm going to
Yay!
let you introduce
Hi.
yourselves. I'm going to let you introduce yourselves in just a minute. But the reason that I am hosting Tanner and Lacy today is I wanted to bring some frontline experience to you. You know, when I look at my experience as an online sales coach, and I think back to 2.5 years when I was in the position as an online salesperson. I mean, it's been a while since I've been on the front lines. I get to talk to these two awesome people all the time, but having them share their success and their stories and their challenges with you from the front lines, I think is super, super important. So wanted to bring them together on this kind of format for you. We're going to do a fun little interview today. Grab your coffee and
Coffee.
definitely stick around and join us. We're going to have some fun. I wish I had started recording, 5 minutes ago when they were arguing like an old married couple. Then you would have truly seen the team dynamic. So Tanner, please like introduce yourself, talk about, where you work and what you've been doing and how long.
Yeah, so I'm Tanner Brewster. I've been with Stylecraft now for 15 years. Out of those 15 years, 10 of them have been on the online sales. So it's been my little go-to thing ever since I've been in sales, and love the position, to be honest with you. So
And Lacy, what about you?
Yeah, so like Tanner said, I am in OSS for Stylecraft, but I am in the Central Texas area. So
Okay.
we're a little bit separated, but still offer and sell the same homes. So
And how long have you been in the position?
a little over a year now. I think I was
Okay.
released after training March last year. So
Okay.
yeah, 14 months.
Yeah.
Not
So
so get
yeah,
there.
10 years, Tanner, holy cow. Let me just say that having somebody that's been in this role for 10 years is, and I mean this with all the love in the world to you, Tanner, that's hard to find. You're like a dinosaur in our industry. You're like right up there with Mike Lyon,
Is
in
this where I can
online
make like an
sales.
old man joke? Can I like slip one of those in there?
Absolutely. I mean, he does, yeah, he does have some gray going on there.
That
Um,
might be the 10 years of an OSS. That's why.
So let's kind of do a little like get to know you for a second and kind of get to know your market. How many, just for people watching so they can get some context, how many homes did Stylecraft sell last year? Like what are we dealing with here?
yeah, so we were the top 65th builder in the United States last year, and we did around 745 homes last year.
Yep.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yep.
So big builder in Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas, right? Bigger and better in Texas. How many leads collectively would you say that you guys manage on a monthly basis?
After looking over everything, on an average, it's about 200, give or take, a
Okay.
month. So just depending on the month,
Each or
each,
together? Okay.
each.
So 200 each. And so collectively, you're looking at roughly 400
Yes,
leads.
that
Okay.
includes VIPs and all that, but yes.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. VIP. Gotcha. And how many appointments are you guys setting from those 400 leads collectively?
A month or less.
How many are you setting a month, would you say? How many appointments and how many sales?
So here lately, I've been averaging 70 to 80 appointments the past couple months. Sales so far, let me take a look. I believe I had 22 sales last month. So doing pretty good.
Yeah. So, it's important for, you always to know your numbers, right?
Yes.
I can
Yes.
remember, management always, walking in going, okay, how many appointments you set this month? Okay, how many sales, and making sure that you know your numbers is super important. Now tell everybody kind of how you guys divide up your territory, because, you know, in a team dynamic, there can be a couple of different scenarios. One where you guys just manage everything together across the board and you just split it down the middle. But that's not exactly your
No.
situation. So talk about how you guys divide up your leads.
Yeah, so we're broken into two different areas how we like to look at it. We've got our we call it Central Texas and the Southern
Which is
part.
me.
So she's the Central, which is technically Northern in my half, and I'm in the Southern. So that's how we have it broken apart. The communities are broken apart for quite a big difference. So from where I am to where she is roughly about an hour and a half, 2 hours away, which is a big difference. And she does a lot of military in the north, and I do a lot of just families in the south, to be honest with you. So, but that's how we kind of break it apart, is her northern side and my southern side.
Yeah, and it's divided through the website as well, which really, really helps. So
Okay.
folks are specifically looking in the areas that I take care of, those leads will automatically come to me. So that way there's really no worry about, is this mine? Is this yours? Oh, well, I already talked to them. Well, I guess I can just finish through with them. So there's really no issues. It's very like, this is mine, this is yours. There you go.
Yeah, so that's something that I definitely want to get into, kind of how you tackle some of those challenges working as a team. You know, one of the reasons I wanted to talk or have you guys talk about working as a team is because you're so great at it. You guys have such a great plan set up, protocol, dynamic, a great working together kind of fun competition between you two, which I think is important. So I want to kind of go back a little bit in time. And, you know, Tanner, you said you've been working for, 10 years. Like, when did it first become obvious to you that maybe you needed a partner? Because that's always kind of like a big thing in our industry of, what are the signs of, hey, I need a second person. I need to add to my team. And so when did you know that it was needed
Well,
to happen?
yeah. Well, I'm going to kind of cheat and bring this up. So Mike Line brought this book out in 2007. So in there's some core pieces of information.
Man, that is like historic.
The book. It is, and it's got notes in it. So now, with that said, I have the second one too. So just give them a little bit. But back in the day, there's key pieces with this, this job itself being the OSS. It's changed from OSC to OSS over time and stuff like that. But back in the day, I ran the website. I did marketing and I did sales. So doing 643, 650 homes a year in 2017, there was no time for me to handle the long-term follow-up or any of that. It was just whatever fruit was the easiest to grab, I did. So with that said, 2017, I was doing around 42 appointments, 45 roughly a month. Now I'm doing 60 to 70. So with that, I've had things taken away, but allows me to, handle all the fruit instead of just the top fruit. So.
Right. So if what I'm hearing you say is correct, is that you realized, hey, there's a lot of things that I'm not able to get to in this role because my lead volume is so high. I'm doing I have all these other hats that I'm wearing. And so if you had more time to be able to dedicate more attention to some of these leads, like you said, like long-term prospecting, that's always like the last thing that we seem to get to when, and so your signal was, hey, I've got so much going on, I'm not able to get to some of these things. We need to bring on an additional person.
Exactly.
Right.
It was 7 days a week because I didn't have somebody take off on the weekends.
Yes,
so
that's the other thing.
So yeah, it was literally 365 days a year minus Christmas and Easter and all that stuff. But it was, even that, you got phone calls on those days. So yes, setting up call rail, setting up everything, having a marketing person that runs the website, handles Facebook and all that stuff. And then the second person, by all means, yes, allowed me to have free time to do other things that I needed to do. So
long story short, I am a blessing in disguise, and he's me from now on until forever. So
yeah. Well, and it's, on the flip side of that, Lacy, you coming into a situation where you're coming into a dynamic where Tanner's been doing it solo for all these years.
Yeah.
And now insert Lacy into the mix. were you a little bit nervous about that, or like tell me how that transition went, and talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I was previously before this job, I was still working for the company, and I was actually an assistant in a model home. And the job came up, and I went gung ho for it. And I was extremely nervous and very intimidated by somebody that's been doing this for so long. And really, being in the actual model home, I didn't really know Tanner all that well, even though he'd been with the company for so long. It was just, oh, this is the guy that answers the phone and makes appointments. Like, man, that's how it used to be. Now, actually being in this position, I'm like, okay, now I understand why we're a little blocked off. This is a lot. So that really added into the intimidation. But once I started and me and Tanner were really working with each other, basically it just kind of got to the point where he started helping with my bearings and figuring out what it was that I was really good at. And then again, I was able to teach him new tricks. So I guess it is true. And an old dog can learn new tricks. So I think we both kind of helped each other on that.
Tanner, were you a little bit like nervous or hesitant at all, like about Lacy coming on and like, oh, this is somebody that is coming in and I'm really going to have to be like on my game, because I've got to show her the way. I know I felt like that when I brought somebody on, like, oh man, I got to be on point because I'm responsible for being the mentor to this person. So were you like having any of that feeling like, oh?
I was gonna say it's kind of like a two-sided thing. So it was, yes, first of all, it was relief came in because I had a friend and I had somebody to be there, and that was good. Something I could just not worry about at one weekend every other week was good. But yes, no, it was scary coming. Can't get beat by somebody who's new, so that's kind of scary. And but I have been.
Yeah, but you learn that real quickly that you can get beat by somebody that's really new. So
yes, and it doesn't even take a year for that to happen. So yes, with that said, yes, she beat me in appointments and contracts last month. So
I love it. So let's talk about that. Your friendly competition. Like, how do you guys look at that each month? Like, how do you measure your sales and your appointments? And are you, talk a little bit about your friendly competition and how that works for you, like how that helps you.
I would say we're more of like a brother sister kind of relationship. Okay. Like very like we're here to help. We're here if you need a hand.
Right.
If you need to switch over the calls because good Lord you can't take it anymore. That somebody there. But on the other side, I'm here to beat him in every possible way, even if it's friendly. So it really is just like a brother sister relationship. Even though we have had "is that your wife" and "is that your husband" a lot.
Ooh.
So we get that too. But yeah.
Now you guys though are in two different, you're not in the same office, right? So talk a little bit about how your office is set up and how you stay connected, being in different places.
Yeah, so we visit each other at least once a month. So that's how we mainly stay connected on that. She comes visit me, I go visit her. So last month I went and saw her. She's going to come see me in July. So we go back and forth. And when we do that, of course, we go tour areas and we sit down and just talk about things. I think our lunches every month is probably the best dynamic we have because we're out of the office. We can talk, discuss things that we feel like we can talk to each other about and stuff like that. So that's very helpful. We also text each other, email each other daily if we have questions and things like that. If we're doing a long-term follow-up, I'll send her. I'll have her. Actually, she's usually the one writing it because she's a little bit better at that. She'll draft it up, send it to me. What do you think? I'll make some changes, what I think were good, and she, we'll send it back and kind of agree and stuff like that, and then send it out. So mainly just, phone calls, emails, and then meet once a month at least.
Yeah, just lots of communication. So. Like even regardless if it's work or even if it's like personal, like related, like, oh my gosh, how do you deal with all these calls over the weekend when you're on call? Like, and because we're both parents, we both have families and things like that. Right. So it really helps having that understanding that there's out there that is working in the same industry as you, has the family aspect, and understands that you kind of need that space. So that really helps as well.
That's awesome. That warms my heart that you guys have each other and that. So one thing that I want to ask you that came up with what you said is when you look at activities as a whole that you've got to accomplish, you mentioned long-term prospecting is one thing that as a team you tackle together. So
Mhm.
talk a little bit about that and how you plan out what you're going to do for the month and how to tackle some of those things together.
Yeah, so typically in the monthly meetings that we have, we'll sit down and we will plan the long-term follow-up emails for that month and the next month. And we send out the same email to all prospects because sometimes some things do cross over and you don't want to send one person one email and another person another email. And what if they contradict each other? So we always want to make sure that we're sending out the same materials and that they can kind of blanket over all of the areas. And that really helps keeping our brains together.
Right.
If I was to have my own emails and he did his own, then you wouldn't have that support of both of us being able to work on the same project together. Being a team really, really helps in this scenario. I couldn't imagine doing this by myself.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't.
I love that. One of the biggest challenges in this role is feeling like you are in a silo. You're just kind of like on an island doing your own thing. Nobody else in your organization knows exactly what you do, but you're kind of getting things done. Whereas, it sounds like you guys have really done a great job of, even though you're in two different markets, you're not in the same geographical location, you're not in the same office, you guys are tackling this role together.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like you're having a good time too while you're doing it.
I don't have too many complaints. So.
Lacy, what would you say is your biggest challenge in this role?
I think when I first started, I think the biggest challenge, and I think I even brought it up to you a couple of our coaching calls, was separating that work from family life. When I first started, it was really wanting to push everything. Like, I want to make this goal. I want these commitments. I want to go above and beyond. But then that above and beyond really starts to sneak into family time, and then you jumble up. So I've started really committing to a time frame. I don't answer my phone before 8 o'clock in the morning, and I don't answer my phone after 6 p.m. That's family time. That's when I'm cooking dinner and I got chicken hands, how Tanner explains it. I'm sure everybody can relate when you're cooking and you of your hands and the phone rings and you're like, ah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was my biggest threshold to kind of go through. And I finally just sat down and was like, nope, I'm not going to answer it. So it's really nice to be able to just turn off your phone at 6 and not have to worry about it.
Yeah. So absolutely, that is hard. It's like a blessing and a curse at the same time. This role is awesome because you can do it from anywhere, but this role is hard because you can do it from anywhere.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
It's setting those boundaries for yourself is so important. And when you're engaged in work, be fully engaged. And then when you have that boundary and you're turning it off, and you're at home, be fully engaged in what's happening there. It's like you have to have that ebb and flow. Tanner, what about you? What would you say is your biggest challenge as an online sales specialist?
As we talked about, I've been doing this for 10 years and watching plenty of webinars and all this stuff. You learn to do things in patterns instead. So when you get to work, you want to do the first comes in emails, the brand new leads and all that stuff, get that knocked out of the way. Then so I've learned how to, set my day perfect where I can do work around that stuff, but phone calls, no matter what you expect, no matter when you expect them not to come in, it's like, hey, I'm gonna go to rest for the first time today. I haven't gone, and 5 phone calls come at the exact moment. So it's just the phone calls are my biggest thing, but it's not hard. It's just, you have to learn that you can miss one. It's okay to go to the restroom. It's okay to okay with that. But you just need to make sure you call them back. And all that. So but that's always my thing. I like low numbers and having call rail, which shows my missed calls and stuff like that. That gets to me and stuff like that.
I don't even want to talk. Can we not talk about call?
Wow, let me write that down. Tanner likes call rail to show his missed calls. Okay, I've got it documented.
It's low. That's why. If it was the opposite, it'd be a different answer. So, but that's really, you just got to learn though. You're going to miss phone calls. It's going to upset you, but it happens. So, and you got to have your time, as she mentioned a minute ago. You got to have your family time. You're at home with your family, or you're at lunch with your wife, whatever. Take that moment and deal with them. The phone call can come, it can, but just make sure whenever you're at the office, you answer every call you can.
Right. One thing I wanted to ask you guys, and I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this ahead of time, but I think it's really important.
Oh.
I know, it's okay. if you could travel back in time to your, brand new self in this role, what
Okay.
advice would you give somebody starting out brand new in this position? What is some advice that you would maybe give somebody?
Something that dawned on me, and it took probably 7 years because it was the first time y'all had one, but was the summit that there are other people in this position. It was weird. Like you mentioned, we're in a silo, we're by ourselves. Nobody else exists. Now I got one I can meet with every month, stuff like that. But back in the day, it was literally nobody else does this. And Mike, there's Mike Montlion once a month on Facebook or whatever it is, that made you feel good. But besides that, there was nobody else in this position that you talk to and stuff like that. So having that summit, if I could have gone back and had that very first year to meet people and know there's other people in this position and the the troubles that people go through. I mean, we are in a position that nobody else has done before and lots of times. And so, asking my manager to take a phone call in the day, they think it's not hard. But if you do it every day, over and over, 365 days, it starts to become a little bit different. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Yeah, just knowing that there's other people like you out there.
Exactly. There's other people suffering like me, so
that have the same challenges of doing
yes,
the same kind of work, and that's great. That's awesome. Yes. What about you, Lacy? Having been in this position now a year and a half-ish, going back in time to your new self, what would you say?
I would have to say that to not overthink everything. When I first started, I was so nervous about not knowing information instead of having that confidence. Like, I know this is what I can give you, but I can find somebody to give you those answers, and being able to really work that phone call instead of getting bombarded with those questions that you don't know. So really just taking a step back, having the confidence to, just bring the knowledge that you do have forward and just working it as best as you can. That's probably what I would have to say. I'm so much more confident in my phone calls now.
Absolutely. It's like when you first start, it's like you don't know what you don't know. So it's like you find out when somebody asks you, and then you're like, oh, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. Right. And so you're right. I mean, I think, it takes like 6 months or so really be at a confident place where you're like, okay, I think I've got this pretty well figured out. And I feel pretty good about how to navigate this role. That's great. That's great advice.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm still learning, that's for sure.
Oh, gosh. I mean,
10 years into it.
Yeah. I mean, you're still learning. Yeah, you're still learning. I would say for me, if I could go back to my former self, I would say to remember that the speed of response is like 80% of it. How quickly you were able to get in front of somebody after they've submitted an inquiry, how quickly you return a phone call, how quickly you respond to an email. I feel like that, like if you focus a lot on that, that's a big part of it. And just being like, you don't have to know all the answers, but if you can quickly get back to somebody and say, you know what, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm going to find out, but you were quick to respond.
Yeah.
I think that covers a multitude of sins. You could screw everything else up, but if you are quickly, if you are quickly getting back to people, that is your best chance of conversion. You know what I mean? Like that's your best chance. So you guys are so awesome. We're gonna do something a little fun now. But I just want to say thank you so much for being such a great team, such great advocates for this role. It's refreshing for me to be able to talk to you about some of these things and have you on the front lines share some of your experiences and what you're doing and how you're doing it. I think it's really awesome. So I thought it would be fun. I've got my little note cards here.
Oh man.
Since you guys seem to work so well together, right? I thought we would play a fun game of how well do you know your teammate? Kind of like the newlywed game, but you're not newlywed, so.
No.
So what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, it depends on who calls.
You have your whiteboards in front of you, right? Yes. Are you ready to go? Okay, awesome. I'm gonna ask, we'll start with Tanner first. I'm gonna ask some questions about Lacy.
Oh, no.
You guys write down the answer at the same time. And then when I say go, you show the whiteboard and we'll see if you're right. We'll have a little competition here to see who knows who the best.
Sorry, Lacy.
Okay,
I
are you
apologize in
ready?
advance as well.
Okay, are you ready? Let's see. This is going to be fun. Tanner, is Lacy more of a morning person or more of a night owl?
Wait, from a year ago or now?
I'm not. Hold on. Wait. I didn't say go. I didn't say go.
Sorry.
I didn't say go. Wait for me to say go. All right. Do you both have something written down?
Sorry, Lacy. You have to put what you honestly are going to put. Don't put what I put. It's only one.
No, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest with it, because even though I sound very perky in the morning, just
Okay.
saying.
All right.
Perky.
Go. Night owl or night owl? Yay. Okay. Tanner, one point for Tanner. All right.
I'll wait next time. I cheated.
Okay.
No, that wasn't cheating. I really am a night owl. I promise.
So you told me you like to sleep and stay in the bed to answer the phone until 10 o'clock, or you'll answer the phone when you're 10 o'clock and you're in the bed still. So I just
You don't
assumed.
say that over this interview.
That's
You
not.
guys see what I mean about the old married couple here that we have
Talking about
going on?
weekends. We're not talking about days at the office.
Okay. All right.
You're gonna get me in
Tanner,
trouble.
what is Lacy's go-to thing that she does to unwind, like to recharge her battery and unwind? Wait till I say go. Don't flip it over.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Oh my
Lacy,
God.
do you not know yourself?
She doesn't.
Lazy's like, I don't do anything to recharge my battery. No.
It's really, I gotta think about it. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Better be
Go.
right.
All right. Go. Music. Lunch.
Oh,
Just
come
food. Okay.
on. That's not what you go get lunch every day. What do you do to unwind after work? You love music.
Well, no, not necessarily.
Okay.
Because
Here's
it's
the
just-
next question.
oh my
All right. Last one for Tanner. Piggybacking on that. Tanner, what is Lacy's favorite food? Like, what's her go-to favorite thing to eat for lunch or something like that?
Oh, man.
I don't know how to spell that word, so I'm gonna spell
I was
the
going
word.
to say, I don't know how to spell the name of the restaurant.
And I don't think
do
I
your best.
spelled this right either. You said spelling doesn't count, right?
Yeah, but I don't
No,
really
as
know
long as
what
you
it
guys
is.
can figure it out. Just put something down that you how you think it's spelled.
Okay. Anybody watching
Oh,
this,
my God.
judge me on my spelling. We use spell check a lot. This doesn't count. Please don't judge me.
No, this is incorrect. Okay, I think I know how to do it. Oh, my God.
All right, go.
Okay, pho. As in faux Chinese food.
Okay.
Yeah,
Are we
okay.
giving that to him?
Yeah, I'll give that to him. That's
Okay,
fine.
all right.
We ate Chinese / pho.
Pho,
The first
pho,
bit. Pho.
pho.
Is it, how do you spell pho?
So,
It's fa. Well, it's spelled like that, but you pronounce it fa.
Oh,
okay,
pho.
pho.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm
Good job.
Texan. It's
Right.
all pho.
I don't know how to spell it, you know. It's really hard. So just
Okay. Now, okay. All right, now it's Lacy's turn to see if she knows Tanner.
These different questions or same questions?
Different questions.
Ooh.
Lacy, what is Tanner's biggest thing that he can never get to in his role? Like, what does he always struggle with getting to and getting accomplished?
It's not fair. This is everybody's. If you're an OSS,
Okay.
this is not yours. You're my new friend.
Okay, go. Long-term follow-up. Yay. Okay, 1 point for Lacy. Okay. Okay, Lacy. Tanner has like a dozen kids, right?
Yes.
Okay, name at least 3 of his kids.
Oh my gosh. Wait, why are these questions so much harder for me?
How was that a hard question, the first one?
Long-term follow-up was not a hard one. I gave you that one.
Okay. Can I pull up Facebook real quick?
No.
Can I call somebody?
Can you call a lifeline?
You even spoke with my wife before. Come on.
Okay,
That was
time
long
is
enough.
ticking. Time is ticking.
I
Only
okay.
3. Name 3. Okay, go.
I can't. Oh, I said 3 girls and a boy, right?
That's correct. Lily, Maddie, Harvey, and Zelda. So.
I knew there was an H.
Okay.
I knew there was an H. I couldn't.
All right. Okay. All
I'm
right.
not even
Last
good with
one.
remembering names in general.
Last one. How does Tanner recharge his battery? What is his go-to thing to do to recharge his battery?
Hey, you should add on to that. And what is the one thing that'll drive me crazy? Jesse knows this. All you have to do is ask Jesse.
I can. She's right next door if you want me to.
Yeah, she'll start doing
All
it.
right.
for
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, go. Spending time with kids.
Sorry, it's music.
Oh, man.
You always talk
Okay.
about going home to your kids.
So,
I don't even know
okay,
you.
so we have
There's
some work
4
to
of them.
do. We have some bonding we need to do. Okay, so Tanner won. Tanner won the challenge. He got 2 out of 3 right. Lacey got
You
1
got
out of 3
easier
right.
questions.
Hey, an old dog can teach a new dog new tricks. Hey,
Oh,
like, come on.
snap.
There you go.
Might break a leg or 2 at the time.
Broken arm.
Just saying.
All right, you guys have been so awesome. Thank you again so much. It's been a pleasure having this fun time with you. And we
Thanks
will,
for having us.
yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. And we will see you next time.
Bye.